Hello there guys, welcome to new Kerry Craft. This time we're going to be making the Master Sword from the Wind Waker. For this project we're going to need an X-Acto knife, a tacky glue stick, a spray adhesive and scissors. You're also going to need 2 sheets of A2 foam board, printed templates from the description below, cans of sprays paint, filler putty or cork and rubber grommets. First of all you want to print off the templates and then using your tacky glue stick glue them together. Once you've done that, glue them so they're corner to corner on the A2 foam board and use your knife to cut out the big piece. Ease the pieces away from the side because you don't want to be damaging the foam board. And then do the same on the opposite side as well. Watch out in case there are any cuts there. As you can see, the template comes away nice and cleanly, and that's important because we're going to be cutting it out to the inside pieces later. Once you've done that, draw around the template piece you've got on your second piece of foam board and cut it out just like the first piece. This is going to form the middle 2 pieces of our swords. Once you've done that, cut in from the top of the template and cut around the outside edge of the sword. And once you get down to where the pommel is, cut around the outside part of the pommel as well, all the way around. This way we're going to create a gradual 3D effect as we layer the pieces on top of each other. As you can see, I've gone down to the bottom of the scabbard and cut all the way up to where the pommel is, which will give us a good grip to hold on to when we've made the sword. Once you've done that, draw around your new piece of sword with a pencil and cut out 2 pieces. As you can see, we've got that nice inlay there, and then we can go and repeat that for the other piece for the other half of the sword. Next up, use your scissors and cut around the next set of lines on the pommel here. Repeat that on the other side. And you're going to want to cut off the actual sword blade itself as well, because we're now going to build up that decorative piece above where you hold your hand on the hilt. And you're also going to want to cut off most of your grip part as well. Just leaving that bottom little trapezium there. Then go ahead and draw around 2 of those on your piece of foam board and cut those out using your knife. Once you've done that, you should see it starting to build up that nice shape on your pommel. Then go ahead and cut out these little pieces on the side here. One on either side. And then go ahead and once again draw around 2 of those and cut those out using your knife. Then using your scissors you want to cut around the curved part at the top, cutting off the rest, just leaving you with the jewel in the middle and what looks like the little wings on the outside. Go ahead and draw around those twice and cut those out using your knife. And then it's time to cut it down even further. Make sure you're being careful as you're using your knife here. A self-healing cutting board is a great tool to use here to protect your floorboards from all those nasty scratches you get otherwise. It's also important to make sure you're using a nice sharp Stanley knife or X-Acto knife blade. Once you've done that, use your pair of scissors to cut around the extra wing pieces on the outside to leave you what looks like the 2 jewels on the inside. Once again, go back to your piece of foam board and draw around 2 of those, using your pencil, and then using your knife cut out those. Again, be careful when you're doing curves here. It can be useful to practice doing curves with your knife on a blank piece of foam board first so you get nice smooth curves. Once you're done, you can see we're starting to build up what looks like a flower shape in the middle really nicely there. Finally, use your pair of scissors to cut around that final middle piece here. This piece is going to be the gem, which we're going to be spray painting black later. If you wanted to though, you could spray paint the larger oval as well as the smaller oval to create a nicer effect. It can be useful sometimes to cut out a larger shape around the piece you want to finally cut, and then using your knife cut it out nice and neatly. As you can see here, we've got that little trapezium piece left over, and I've cut out a little piece there, and that's going to go at the bottom of the hilt just there to give us a nice little feature. Cut out one of those for either side of the swords, and then it's time to start scoring your 45-degree cuts. Using your X-Acto knife, holding it at 45 degrees, halfway between flat and vertical, cut around all the edges on every piece that you've cut so far. This is going to be quite a lengthy process, so I'd allow yourself around about 1 to 2 hours to do this. Get yourself your favourite TV show or some nice music to listen to in the background, and then work your way around all of your pieces. As you can see, by cutting at 45 degrees, you add a really nice sharp cutting edge to your swords. And by doing that to all of your pieces, which will take around about 2 hours, you can see the effect we get is really rather nice. It starts to build up. When that's all spray painted, we're going to get a really nice 3D effect on the sword there. As you can see, we've got some nice light and dark highlights there. So make sure you do that to both sides of a piece of the sword. Your next step is to take your X-Acto knife. You see those lines in the middle of the hilt, we're going to try cutting those in. So first of all, mark them out with a pencil, and then using your knife cutting very shallow V-shaped cuts, you want to cut it out so you've got those little indentations there. That'll add a nice bit of texture to our hilt, which will really make a big difference when we see the finished sword. Next up, we're going to be using filler putty to cover the edges of all of your 45-degree cuts. This is because the foam inside the foam core doesn't react well to some kinds of spray paint, and in my experience it can cause it to actually dissolve and leave horrible bubbliness, as it were. So once you've used filler to smooth along with a popsicle stick, use a piece of sandpaper to smooth those off, work your way around all the pieces again. I'd allow around about 45 minutes to an hour for this. Alternatively, if you didn't want to, you could use acrylic paint, which doesn't dissolve the foam. Next up, using your tacky glue stick, be generous with the glue and glue together the flower pommel pieces, which are going to go onto the piece above the hilt of your sword. Repeat that for both sides there. As you can see, it's holding together nicely. Using PVA glue is also a good alternative here. When you move on to the larger blades, I'd recommend using either contact adhesive or using a PVA glue in a popsicle stick like I did here. You can smooth it on down, and then once you spread it across the whole blade, press the pieces together and then use something weighted to hold the pieces in place. I used a couple of cans of spray paint I had lying around. Once you've done that, it starts to affix your pommel piece onto your sword. Once again, using PVA glue or spray adhesive or contact adhesive, spatula it on and then press it in place until it goes off. Once done that, it's time to mask off in advance of us doing some spray painting. Using masking tape, mask off the part just below where the blade is, and then using silver spray paint, you want to spray a good couple of layers onto the blade. I'd recommend about 2 or 3. Carefully holding a piece of cardboard curved around the edge, begin to spray on the blue of the pommel and the hilt of your blade. If you've masked it here, you should find you don't get any spray onto your silver blade, but if you do, just wait for it to dry, mask it off again with masking tape and cardboard, and then go over it again. Next up, you're going to be spraying our gem a nice solid glossy black, and that's going to be fixed on like this. I dry fit the pieces together first, and then you can use hot glue. Again, you could use the spray adhesive or contact adhesive to hold these in place. It's good to use an adhesive that goes off quickly and doesn't create a bumpy surface underneath. Otherwise the pieces won't fit together nice and flush and you won't get a nice smooth looking sword. There you go, once you've attached your gem, the next step is to repeat it on the other side as well, because you want to have your entire sword glued together before we join the final 2 pieces of sword. There we go, so our final step is going to be once again taking our PVA glue, applying a generous amount down the middle of your sword blade, and then using your popsicle stick, you want to spread out the glue nice and evenly so it covers the entire sword blade. Now the sword blade is going to be quite a large surface, so you want to be quite generous with the glue. You can always scrape off any excess afterwards. I've found from experience that spray adhesive works particularly well. If you allow it time to go tacky, you can just press the pieces together and they'll join together really quickly. The advantage of the PVA glue is you've got more time to work with it. If you're more prone to making mistakes, a little bit like me, then it gives you time to wiggle it into place so the edges fit together perfectly. Once you've fitted the edge pieces together, I found using masking tape to join the edges together is a really helpful way of ensuring you get a nice flat join on the edges. Then putting the small pieces of wood, or in this case I used some little canvases to support the sword, way down the top so the two pieces hold together nicely as they go off. Allow about 30 to 45 minutes for the PVA glue to totally go off, and then it's time to gently remove the masking tape. You can also use painter's tape, which does tend to take off less paint. And once you've taken all the pieces off, you can lift up your final finished sword. As you can see, the edges have held together really nicely, and I'm really pleased with how the sword's turned out in this build. I see, even turning it over, if you do find that there are some little edges which are still white, you can either trim them with a pair of scissors or your knife, or like I did, you can go about with your spray paint to spray those edges to make up the blue or the silver that's missing. So there you go, there's your completed sword, guys. Thanks very much for checking out the video. Hopefully it's inspired you to make your own master sword from the Wind Waker. If you've got any suggestions about future projects you'd like to see linked to games and geekery, then do leave a comment below about a sword or a shield that you would like to see in a future video. But once again, thanks very much for checking out the video. If you've enjoyed it and like to see more crafty videos, then do check out the KD Crafts channel. If you'd like to go and visit the Facebook page, it's at KD Crafts, and you can also find us on Twitter at KD Crafts. Once again, thanks very much for checking out the video. If you did like it, then do like the video, subscribe to the channel and share it on your social media sites. But thanks very much, and I'll catch you in the next video.